Big Sean said, forget all that underdog stuff. I'm the big dog. I don't care how it's coming off. And then he followed it up by saying, I already said I don't mess with you. I should have said, I don't mess with none of y'all. And I felt that. By the way, people ask me, why do you film on the street if you're bothered by the cars? I'm not bothered by the cars. I love cars. That's a Ram Stackle. And I film on the street because of vibes. And you know who else? You know who else appreciates the vibes? Hoka. That's a good vibes brand right there. Hoka did put some respect on the channel. And they said, no, you're not an underdog, man. You're a big dog. So we're going to send you the full suite of 2024 products. Shout out Hoka. So today we have the Stack X. I'm not going to do that. We have the Mach X2 from Hoka. No silliness today in the titles. No silliness with the pronunciation. It's the Mach X2, the second generation in the Mach X line. X, if you see an X on any of Hoka's shoes, that means they have a plate. We are not going to Carbon County today, which is why you do not see me in a Carbon County piece of merchandise. The Carbon County, by the way, that Carbon County crew neck, that's a one of one, bro. You can't buy that in the store. I got that custom made in the real Carbon County in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. You think I'm capping? You can't buy that in the stores. If you see the X, that means there's a plate. This is a plastic plate. That's why I have my plastic outerwear on. You know, fleece is made from plastic. So we're going to the plastic planet today. Mach X2. This is one of the last shoes that hasn't released in 2024. The last new, there's about 4 shoes left. There's this. There's the, might have to beep that out under embargo. There's the Adidas Adios Pro 4. There's the Adidas Adios 9. And then it's a wrap. We're going to be at TRE breaking news on all the new shoes coming for 2025. So there's not very many new hype shoes. This is one of the last ones. I'm excited to see how it does versus some of the other shoes on the market. But I have to say, this category of plated training shoes, and it's designed to blend some elements of race day shoes, having that more rigid piece inside of the midsole. That's the reason why this has a plastic plate, not the carbon plate, with some of the race foam, and then blending from the everyday running shoes, the comfort, the stack. This category of shoes has probably been the most disappointing for me this year. And I'm not sure whether it's my training, I'm not sure whether it's the shoes themselves, but something about this category just hasn't been hitting for me. I don't think I've done a 100-mile review on one of these shoes because I'm just not pulling for them. I have a few race shoes up at 70, up at 100 miles. A lot of them also came out in the back half of the year, these plated trainers, and they just haven't been doing it for me in my style of training. I'd rather just go for a comfort shoe if I'm gonna be cruising in comfort, or I'd rather go for a race shoe. I'm starting to feel like this category is, what do we need them for? So that's gonna be the question that I answer today. On paper, the shoe looks great. It's $190. $190. Let's see if it's worth it. Let's see. $190. Shout out to Hoka. Oh man, that was a complete brick. That was. All right, so before we get into the unboxing and opening up the Mach X2, just a few of my favorite plated trainers so far this year. My 2 favorites are probably Puma Deviate Nitro 3. This is almost like a daily trainer that they put a plate in, which is what a lot of this category is, but it, for me, is more on the comfort with speed side, and you don't think of the Deviate Nitro 2 or 3 as being a super comfortable shoe, but the foam here is tuned perfectly for my stride. And if you don't know my specs, my stats, I'm 6'2", 160, so a little bit taller, and I run my daily miles around 7 something. So at my paces and size, this works really well for me. It has 2 different types of foam here. The bottom layer is the Nitro, a little bit firmer. The top layer is one of their older race foams with the carbon plate. It's been really versatile. I did a 20-mile day. It feels like I can run
any pace in this shoe. So it's exactly what I look for in a daily trainer. Is it as comfortable as something like the New Balance 1080 V13? No, but if you want a little bit more of that pep in your daily shoe, that's where this comes into play. I personally do not love the idea of running in plated shoes every day, so I wouldn't use this as my one shoe. I would rotate it with something else. And it's not about the research, it's about the vibes. It's the vibes don't feel right to run in a plated shoe every day. So if I'm going to go Carbon County in the Deviate Nitro 3, the next day I might go unplated territory and pull up in something like the 1080. But that's a conversation for another video, or for the Supwell app, which, by the way, $1 per month on the Supwell app. Buy, sell, and trade used running shoes and have conversations about training. We've had a lot of good conversations in there about the plated shoes. But next shoe here, Asics Magic Speed 4. This was a real sleeper pick for me, and I am a little bit surprised that I pulled for it this morning to put it out with some of my favorite plated shoes here. But this is not a shoe I would pull for every day. It is nowhere near as versatile as the Deviate Nitro 3, at least in feeling. The capability is versatile, but it just feels a little bit more aggressive, a little bit less substantial. It almost feels like a training version of the Diadora Gara, which is pretty crazy to say, but with how the toe off feels, with the lightweight, with the softer foam, it's soft, light, and fast. And I've run some of my fastest miles and kilometer repeats in it this year, and I put a 25-mile double day on it, and it was great. So this is a nice speed shoe, almost something like Adidas Takumi Sen or a budget race shoe. It comes in at $170, and if you wanted one shoe to do fast workouts in and race in and wanted something below $200, this would be a good pick. And then third shoe that I pulled for is the New Balance SC Trainer V3. This is not my favorite, and hold on, let me grab something. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not my favorite, but it's actually Charlie's favorite speed shoe and longer run shoe right now. So this is Charlie's pair. She has the crispy cyber jade colorway. I have the black lemon. This is probably one of my favorite black colorways of the year. I really like what they did with the green and orange. But the reason I wanted to pull Charlie's pair is because we are totally different runners. I run high mileage. I'm training for marathons. My next marathon is, I don't know what it will be because I didn't run it yet, but below 250, unless something goes horribly wrong on race day. Charlie's never run a marathon. Charlie's never run a half marathon. Her everyday running paces are more around 9:30, 10 minutes per mile. Mine are more around 7:30, and my training or my workout paces are around 6 flat or even faster. And so this is the perfect shoe for her. She likes it a lot more than I did. She felt it was peppy. I felt it was a little bit not aggressive enough for me compared to some of the other shoes. So the reason why I wanted to pull this and have a little bit of the conversation about the different types of runners we are is this has more support, this has more comfort, this has more structure. It's not designed to be the most aggressive shoe. And if you look at the Hoka Mach X, the first version of the shoe that we're going to be pulling out of the box today, very similar, and it almost looks identical to the SC Trainer V3 when we're thinking about stack height, when we're thinking about the geometry. Neither of these shoes are the most aggressive. They're designed to be a little bit more supportive, a little bit more comfortable. Maybe if you are looking for that first plated shoe or an alternative to a Carbon County marathon shoe for your half marathon or for your full marathon, you could go for the Mach X or you could go for the SC Trainer V3. Difference is SC Trainer V3, this is 100% of the fuel cell foam with the carbon fiber plate. It's not the same version as the race shoe, the SC Elite V4. It's a little bit more of a training blend in here. Whereas the Mach X and the Mach X2, which we'll open up in a second, they use dual foam. So race foam on top, training foam on the bottom. So with that little bit of context, let's take out this Mach X2. See what it's all about. I actually thought I lost my knife here, but I didn't. It was on my desk. It's a good story, right? But yeah, if you are interested in an SC Trainer V3, we actually have one or two being sold on the app right now. And we have a few SC Elite V4 being sold on the Supwell app. So I'm trying to do a better job talking about the Supwell app and the inventory we have on there because there's a lot of good shoes being sold. And I want to make sure that we're making sales. We're getting transactions for our friends who are selling. And there's been a lot of transactions, but there's so many good shoes on the app right now. All right, anyway, Mach X2. Let us open up this thing. I have no idea what color I'm going to get. I think it says it right here, and my eyes are closed. Bada boom. Ooh, I see a little bit of an orange. Let's go. This is a good colorway. This is a great colorway. Great looking colorway, and it feels light. It feels a little bit lighter than that SC Trainer V3, which I was just holding in my hand. So, Mach X2, key changes from the version 1. They have made this a lot more aggressive looking and feeling. What I'm noticing right away is this is an almost a race upper. Wow. So take a look at the upper on the Mach X2 here versus the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. And you just heard me say the Puma Deviate Nitro 3, this is one of my favorite for everyday miles. If I were going to pick one plated shoe to use as a daily trainer, it would be the Deviate Nitro 3. And you can see how much padding we have here around the back. This upper is way more of a daily trainer versus Mach X2. This reminds me of the Nike Vaporfly almost, which is how lightweight it is, and it's see-through too. So really lightweight performance fit. Hoka did some weirdness with the laces again here. Let's see. They almost look like wool laces. Like pull up with the crochet 79s here. This is funny. So you get a little bit of thicker laces, but yeah, really nice lightweight performance upper. And I'm thinking the reason for this change, making this look like a little bit more and feel a little bit more like a performance fast shoe, is probably because in the time between the Mach X releasing and the Mach X2, Hoka dropped this bad boy here. Let's do a little side by side. Skyward X. The Skyward X, this is a big boy. This is a big boy. And if I had to pick one plated shoe for my daily miles, I lied. It might not be the Deviate Nitro 3. It might be the Skyward X. But the reason why I didn't even immediately think about this, even though it was out here, is because it's almost a different category than the Deviate Nitro 3s of the world. Yes, they both have the dual foam. Yes, they both have the carbon fiber plate, but the Deviate Nitro 3 is engineered to be a little bit more nimble, a little bit more for speed maybe. The Skyward X is designed to give you the most easiest. How do I say this? Somebody's going to be in the comment. Most easiest? Are you serious, bro? This is designed to completely take the burden off your legs and to make it feel like you are on the elliptical instead of running. That's what this shoe does for me. It makes it just so easy to glide along. Now, with the Skyward X being that cruiser, you can see the differences here with the Mach X2. They've gone in a way more aggressive direction. And let's pull out the original Mach X. Let's go like this. All right, there you go. So you can see original Mach X is in the middle here. Mach X2 is on the left. Skyward X is on the right. They almost split the Mach X into two different directions here. So they took that comfort upper, they put it on the Skyward X. They took that stability, they put it on the Skyward X. Now they've retained some similar elements across both of these shoes. The dual foam, right? You still have the dual foam on the Skyward X. You still have the dual foam on the Mach X2. But man, the lightweight, that's going in the Mach X2. And again, that's given them a little bit more permission to innovate and to put something different on the market with the Skyward X because they have the Mach X2. So another thing that I was noticing with the Mach X2 right away is the rocker. Rocker just seems a lot more aggressive on the Mach X2 here than it was on the Mach X. The Mach X was a very smooth ride. And yeah, you can see, yeah, look at the angle that the Mach X rests at when I do the rocker test versus the Mach X2. We're almost at a 45-degree angle here. So that toe off is going to be way more aggressive in the new version. Hopefully, potentially. Now, other differences, you still have the race foam on the top layer, but it does look like we got a little bit more. And let's go back to our workstation here. Clean it up. Yeah, more of the race foam in the forefoot here. They've also increased the stack height, and they've also pushed out the plate on the side, just so you can see that you have the plate. And let's see, still very stiff from the plastic plate. But man, this looks like a great shoe. My prediction is that this is going to be a lot faster feeling. And I'm not quite sure if it's going to be more of that SC Trainer V3 competitor, or maybe it's a little bit more aggressive. And the Skyward X is that SC Trainer V3 competitor for thinking about comfort and a little bit of balance over long miles. So with that, let's throw this on the scale, see where it comes in. Hoka is not a brand known for lightweight, so we shall see. Kobe. All right, weighing in. Well, let's weigh in the first. Let's weigh in the first Mach X, actually. And by the way, I only got one run in this Mach X because I got it about a month ago, and I wanted to just test it before the Mach X2 came out. I can't sell it. I'm not going to sell it because Hoka gave it to me, but maybe I'll give it away to somebody. And if you want to write a 100-mile review on it on the Supwell app, because we have a reviews channel as well, and maybe this shoe will become one of the best deal shoes. Now that the Mach X2 is coming out, I'm sure the price on this will go down. So if you are a size 10.5, sign up for the Supwell app, shoot me a DM if you are interested in writing a 100-mile review of the Mach X here, and maybe I'll send this to you. You can join the Supwell team as one of our reviewers for the app. Would that be cool? And if you're not a size 10.5, sign up for the Supwell app anyway. There's a lot of good deals on there, a lot of good training conversation. I'm proud of it. It's a great place that we've built. And Charlie said, she said I have to start talking about it more, and the website. She said not very many YouTubers created their own website and have their own app. I said, you're probably right. I just don't like talking about it. But Supwell.io, check out the best new shoe marketplace and the best used shoe marketplace. If you want to find a new running shoe, use the shoe matcher tool. Anyway, 286.5 grams on the Mach X. A little bit on the heavier side. Let's see if they lightened it up. Let's see if they lightened it up in the Mach X2. Yes, they did. 265.5 grams. The thing is, I've been fooled before, so we're going to do a QA first, or the QA check first today, because with some of these other Hoka shoes, they've been something like 10 grams different. So I want to make sure I'm not out here saying they've lightened it up when it turns out the other one is 290 grams or something. So let's check. No, 268, 269. Okay, so let's just put it one more time just to be sure. Yeah, pretty close. 265 versus 268. They're both 3 gram difference. So that's not too bad. That's smack down the middle of what I would expect. And you also get a lot of foam out of these shoes. I think it's above 40 millimeters in the back here, which is pretty decent for a speed-oriented shoe. Now, let's show the Puma Deviate Nitro 3 on here. This guy is 284 grams, so heavier than the Mach X2. And again, that's going to come down to the upper. And I also think the foams in the Deviate Nitro 3 are a little bit denser. So I'm really curious to see, is this going to give us a touch softer ride? Because Hoka doesn't have that many soft shoes actually in their lineup. The Mach X is decently soft, but the Skyward X is not super soft. The new Stack Flow, that is firm. That is a firm puppy. It almost reminds me of the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, which I loved. Not a bad thing, but definitely firm for most people if you're not as big as I am. So I'm impressed that they've lightened it up. Magic Speed 4, let's check. This one is featherweight. As I said, this is almost like a budget race shoe. 256. And man, that's not bad because this feels super light in my hand. Also feels really light on foot. And the Mach X2 is only 10 grams heavier than that. And I'll show the SC Trainer V3 on. Ooh, 304 grams. This is a size 11 though, so it would probably be around 290 something in my 10.5. The reason I have an 11, that's all they had. But I've had some other people tell me that the shoe fits snug in their real size, so maybe size 11 is the size I should have in this. Regardless, much heavier, and that was my issue with the SC Trainer V3 for me. It felt a little bit heavy. It felt a little bit clunky. It was not the smooth ride I was expecting. Yes, it was comfortable. The toe box was wide, and I did a long run in it, and it was comfortable. I just felt like it was missing a little bit of that je ne sais quoi. But then again, Charlie really enjoyed her pair, and it had the perfect amount of je ne sais quoi for her. So I think for newer runners or first carbon fiber plated shoe, still a good pick in the SC Trainer V3, and you'll be getting more benefits of comfort and stability, even though it is a little bit of a heavier weight. And speaking of heavier weight, let's throw on our best friend here, the Hoka Skyward X, probably my favorite shoe of the year, 332 grams. the heaviest shoe out here, and one of the heaviest shoes that we've brought into the shoe market this year. It's definitely in the top 5. There was a shoe we came in recently. Oh, the Nike Infinity Run 4, which I sold on the Subwell app. That was 350 grams almost. So the heaviness and the weight is coming from just this super chunky stack of foam that you get underfoot, and they made no pretensions of lightness here. They added a lot of padding in the upper, and it's just a comfort-oriented shoe in general. So decently lightweight here. You get the race foam, you get the new supercritical foam. I'm hyped, as they say. And look at that. You even get a window. You get a window to see. You have a plastic plate. Low Rock Catcher 5000. Because otherwise, how would you know that there were even a plate inside here if you couldn't see? Hold on, before we get it on foot, the one last thing that I needed to mention here, and it just puzzles me why Hoka does this, the exposed foam in the back. The exposed foam in the back here, it makes no sense. So on the Skyward X, they don't have that. They have good rubber coverage. And by the way, I have 100... How many miles do I have on this? 130 now, I think. And you can see the protection here. But with the exposed foam, you're just going to wear into that pretty good and get some tearing. On the Cielo X1, it has a very similar layout. And I've started to wear about 70 miles on that shoe. I've started to wear. So add some foam on the rubber on the back to cover it up. But good rubber coverage. Other than that, we can see the plate. At the bottom, the plate is very close to the ground. And that's one other thing I wanted to say. I think we're going to get a nice soft bed at the top here because the plate seems a little bit closer to the ground here. So with that, guys, let's get this on foot. Kodak Black said Martin Luther King should see how I'm living. Should he really? Is that what he would? Martin Luther? Sometimes these rappers are wilding out, man. Also, tell me how Bryson Tiller came with the harder verse than Kodak on the Big Sean. Anyway, lacing up the Mach X2 here. Performance fit. For sure. Just slipping this upper on my foot, getting my foot inside of it, this feels like a speed shoe. This feels almost like a race shoe. And for $190 versus all the other plated training shoes out there, this one might feel the fastest. Just slipping it on foot, because $190, that's almost race shoe money. And that's the direction Hoka is going with the Mach X2 here, making it almost like a race shoe, which is back to the spirit of this category, actually, because when this category first started, it was the Saucony Endorphin Speed, right? And the Nike, the Zoom Fly, both shoes that were a little bit more aggressive, especially in the case of the Saucony Endorphin Speed, more like a budget race shoe than it was like a daily trainer. So this definitely feels more like a race shoe in terms of the fit and feel, putting it on. Lengthwise, it's good. I have my merino socks on today. Lengthwise, it is good. Maybe a little bit snug in the upper. It's definitely not super wide foot friendly, but it's not as narrow as something like a Puma. And well, the other thing I'm noticing is the heel feels pretty soft and almost wobbly, not unstable laterally side to side, but leaning back here. So I can tell already this is going to put me on my toes. A little bit more aggressive just in general. That's my main takeaway right now in terms of the fit, the feel, and the technology, the construction of the shoe. Overall, a lot more aggressive than I was thinking. I was thinking this was going to be maybe a little bit closer to the SC Trainer V3. Now, I knew that because the Skyward X came out, they were nudging this maybe more towards speed, but this is a lot more speed-oriented just in terms of the feel of it. Yeah, the upper is, look at this, really low cut, low slung upper here. That's something that they've taken from the Rocket X2 in the race shoes. This comes in at a lighter weight, by the way, than the Cielo X1, which is crazy. So light, aggressive. We'll see. Maybe this will become a good alternative race shoe pick. And I really wish I got Charlie a pair of these so we could see her take on this versus the SC Trainer V3. But a little walk test here. Yeah, so far I can tell you this feels way more aggressive than the SC Trainer V3. Also way more aggressive than the last version of this shoe. The rocker, as we saw up there with the little rocker test we did, it's really putting on me on my toes walking around. So the reason I do these walk tests isn't so I can test out if this is going to be a good walking shoe, because this is not the Hoka shoe I would pick for walking. It's to see how the properties on paper translate to on foot. So snug fitting, not too tight in terms of the snugness. The snugness feels just like it's a performance shoe, and I want to go fast. The rocker is there, and it's definitely slanting me forward, putting me on my toes while still having that moderate drop feel. So I do believe this is a 5mm drop. I'll throw it up on the screen here. Most of the Hoka shoes right now I think are 5, but man, this feels good. So I'm excited to run in this. Plan for this run, 10 miles. 10 miles today. This is our recovery week, so I'm probably only going to do one run today. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? So 10 miles at whatever pace. You guys already know, training by vibes, training by feel, whatever pace comes. Maybe I'll pick up the pace. Maybe I won't. Probably be somewhere in the 7s, and maybe I'll throw in a little bit of pace pickup here and there. But Mach X2 first run, I gotta ditch the Plastic Planet outerwear, and then we can get into it. This is not my day to get taken out by a Prius. And yesterday was basically a rest day, a full day off. I did 5 miles with Mason in the morning with her on her bike, but it was not very fast. It was at about a 10-minute per mile pace. So I haven't really got a run in 2 days. Man, early overreaction here. This is a lot firmer than I thought, and just stiffer and more rigid. I don't know why I was expecting it to be a little bit softer, but it feels almost as stiff and rigid and as maybe even firmer than the Skyward X, which I guess makes sense given this is more for speed. But yeah, my early overreaction is, man, this is not a comfort oriented shoe. And I've been doubting this category, or just I've been feeling like this category of plated trainers doesn't have that extra gear for me when I really want to crank it. Maybe this shoe will, because it's firmer. Oh man, I forgot it was Tuesday because of the holiday yesterday. So Waste Pro is going to be out here putting in work. Yeah, this is definitely a shoe that's going to require a little bit of break-in. Alright, first straightaway here. Yeah, man, a lot of the firmness that you might expect from a carbon plated shoe, except this is not carbon. I think the supercritical EVA Hoka uses in this and the stack flow, they just need some time to break in, and they need some force to activate. So this is not a relaxed cruiser whatsoever. I'm gonna try to dial up the pace a little bit, see if getting down to more steady zone can give us a little bit more pop. But if you're looking for a comfortable plated shoe for some nice miles, no, this is not it. This is not it. SC Trainer V3 or Skyward X. This guy is aggressive, holy cow. Alright, mile 1, 7:11. Probably hang out around this pace today. I think it's gonna take a few miles to get these going. Just to open them up, soften them up. That's how I felt about the stack flow as well. And I can already feel 8 minutes in here that I'm getting into a little bit of a better groove. So it might take a little bit of time for these to break in. Typical EVA fashion. Yeah, the race foam on the top, the PIBA, the polyether block amide with the rocker, that is giving a nice little bit of response. A nice toe off. Let me throw a little surge right here. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'll check back in a bit. This is a confusing shoe so far. Here's the thing. If you're gonna drop $200 on another running shoe you don't need, you might as well really drop $200. You know what I mean? You already know it's gonna be, honey, did you really spend $200 on another shoe after we had the conversation? Bro, if that's what it's gonna be, you might as well really drop $200. You might as well just get the Skyward X for $225, because this is $190. If you're gonna drop $2, you might as well really mess around and drop $2. That's all I'm saying. I've just been feeling like a lot of these plated trainers are just a worse version of their racing counterpart, which by definition they kind of are. And the racing shoes are getting so comfortable and so versatile, and a lot of them so durable, that they've almost made these shoes redundant. And I'm joking about the price thing, but if you're about to drop $190 on this, you better be able to drop $225. I'm not Dave Ramsey. I am not giving financial advice. But if you can't afford $225, do not spend $190 on a shoe. Go to the Supwell app and get a more affordable shoe, or buy last year's model for under $100. That's what I'm saying. The difference at 35, again, I am not a financial advisor, but if you are spending $200 on a running shoe, I really hope that $35 is not breaking the bank. Otherwise, stop watching my channel and go watch some Dave Ramsey. Mile 2, that was exactly the same pace as mile 1, 7:11. And this feels like a normal everyday pace. It's also a little bit cooler to me right now. Well, not to me. It literally is cooler. We're in that early fall. And I took a recovery day yesterday, so I'm moving a little bit better, but the shoe is definitely giving more speed assistance than if I were in something like a stack flow. I'm probably getting 15 to 20 seconds benefit per mile in this for the effort. Maybe 10 seconds per mile, but some of the speed assistance is there for sure. Mile 3, 7:08. I know I'm talking a lot of junk about this category of shoes, but this is a good example of what this category is looking to do. Comfort with some speed. The foam does feel protective underfoot, It's not overly aggressive like some of the Nike racing shoes might be. And we have some good pep. So 3 miles in, we're just locked in. Seems like this is what it's gonna be today. If we have anything else to say, we'll say it. And 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, I was so hungry to be the first with every shoe. On real sicko mode. I haven't broken a first in a while. But the thing is, I'm hungry right now to be the best I can be with training and to show you guys what goes into it. That's why we're bringing more training insights to the channel. It's all about the mileage. It all goes back to the mileage. Keep the vibes good, and then we can start hammering some pace. Everybody wants an acronym for their training system. That's the MVP system, baby. Supwell MVP system. Mileage, vibes, pace. I can feel it, man. This shoe wants me to pop off and start talking about the numbers. Start talking about how you want to stress out over some numbers, some metrics, some heart rate. If this shoe wants me to say, check my Strava, if you want to talk about numbers, let's talk about numbers. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing that this week. It's a recovery week. We are planting kindness and gathering love. That was another 7 flat mile. We're just out here vibing. All right, mid-run update. We're almost at mile 6 here on the straightaway, and the bounce is nice. It's a shoe that needs some warm-up, similar to the Skyflow. It's not going to be super soft and squishy out of the box, but I don't think this guy is going to bottom out. This feels like an absolute tank, and it reminds me a little bit of the Boston 12. Talk about put some respect on my name. We haven't mentioned the Boston 12 in a while, and I've heard rumors that the 13 might be out by the end of the year, so we'll see. But this feels a little bit like a smoother Boston 12. That was a 654. Yeah, a little bit like a smoother Boston 12, but this is not soft. This thing is a little bit aggressive and firm. But now that we're into the run, I think this is going to be a nice one for some longer miles, some longer time on feet. I'm just still not quite sure where I would pick this over a race shoe. We have bales of hay out here. We really have bales of hay. That's fire. There's no bales of hay in Lowell, Massachusetts. All right, guys. We got 10.08 miles worth of vibes, 704 pace. And this is what I'm saying, man. That video I did yesterday, running by feel, I was just flowing. And we were clipping them off 708, 711. I think my fastest mile, before the last mile, which was downhill, and I was just picking it up a little bit, I think that was 647. Before that, my fastest mile was a 657, and I only check the watch when it gives me the mile mark. 657. I think my slowest mile was a 711. So I was dead on center, up and down the hills, just keeping it consistent. So that's what I'm saying. And the video I did yesterday, the heart rate training, the data, looking at the metrics can help us learn. But it really should be used as that, tools to learn our bodies, tools to learn how to become better runners. But man, Mach X2. This is dialed in. This is a great example of a shoe in this category, of a plated training shoe. Now, I'm still not 100% sold on this category in 2024, but this is a good option. And man, look at this. I can't even take this off. This has got to be the best if not second best plated trainer upper. And it does have the little strap down tongue. This is a really nice upper. It's almost like a race shoe. Hyperion Max 2 also had a good upper. I don't know why I didn't bring that one out. I should do a head-to-head. Hyperion Max 2 versus Mach X2. That would be a nice head-to-head. And yeah, look at this. I can already feel this foam softening up a little bit. And we just ran in it, so it's warmed up. But this is going to be like the Boston 12. I can tell it's going to need some time to break in and get its true character. Because, gosh dang, it is stiff and rigid out of the box. Holy cow. But we were locked in, clipping off 7 flats. Set it and forget it type of shoe. It's a solid shoe. Let me go shower, and then we can hit this breakdown. What do you think?
We're in that part of the year where it's cool in the shade, warm in the sun. I was thinking I gotta make a Supwell crew neck or something, because I can't be out here rocking anybody else's crew neck or fleece. We're off that, man. It's all Supwell 365. And if you are looking for a new speed training shoe like the Mach X2 here in the way that I've been describing it and what I'm gonna say, if that is not appealing to you, or you wanna save some money, check out the Supwell app. It's $1 a month, and we have a lot of great inventory. I'm gonna pull out some of the shoes that we have for sale right now. So these are not the actual shoes, it's other people selling them. Hold on, I gotta look it up. We have so many good deals, I can't even remember them off the top of my head. All right, SC Trainer V3, $140, 9.5 men's with 31 miles on it. He said it didn't fit his foot. So that's one of the best deals on the app right now. Little wild card, another fun deal we had was the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Flash 2. A lot of you guys probably don't even know that I have this shoe. I really need to get some miles in it soon. Men's 8.5, fewer than 20 miles on it, $120. And then the last deal, Adidas Boston 12. We have a few of these. One of them we have for $55 in a size 8. I realize some of these are small sizes. Let's take a look at some of the bigger sizes. We also have a size 12 Adidas Takumi Sen 8. Let me check some of the bigger sizes. Men's 11, that's a popular size. We have a Ghost Max 2 for $105. A Nova Blast 4 in size 11 for $100. A SC Trainer V1 for $50 in size 11.5. So we have a lot of cool stuff on the Supwell app. Check it out. You can buy, sell, and trade gently used running shoes like the Boston 12. You can connect with other hobby joggers in the forums. Post any training question that you have, and I'll answer it, and other people will answer it. It's a great community space. So I'm doing my best to make sure I mention it every day, because I've put a lot of effort into this. And then the promotion part is the part that I'm the worst at. And I've told you guys this. You need to know your strengths, know your weaknesses. My weakness is trying to sell stuff. I'm horrible at it. So please sign up for the app. It's $1 a month. Now, what is not my weakness is transitioning and segueing and talking, just having things flow out of my mouth. That's one of my strengths. We got 10 miles of vibes. 10 vibes in the Hoka Mach X2 here. This is a sharp colorway. I didn't say bang. I don't know if it's a bang worthy colorway. It's just clean. I think the thing is, I've also seen this so much. I saw this at the running event last year, and then I've seen a million pictures of it because people are posting their reviews on the Supwell app. You can also read user reviews and post reviews as well. So if you want to get an alternate perspective for someone who's not 6'2", 160, from someone who's closer to your size, you can go on the Supwell app and see different reviews as well. But 10 miles of vibes. Let's throw it up here. We were cruising at about a 7 flat pace, and this shoe is great. I have zero complaints. Literally no complaints whatsoever with this shoe. It was serviceable. I went out there. I didn't have to think about it a lot. If I were not reviewing the shoe, if I weren't forcing myself to analyze it, I probably wouldn't have even realized it was on my foot. But in terms of the ride characteristics, let's talk about that, and let's go answer the 3 questions that we love to answer. It's a little bit on the firmer side. It still retains that smooth character of the Mach X1, and I only got 1 run in that shoe, but it was firm, it was rigid, and it was smooth and comfortable. That's what I remembered out of the Mach X1. This shoe still has that. It still has that nice smooth roll from the rocker here. It still has that really firm base. One of the firmest shoes out there. My guy Matt from Doctors of Running, we were talking about this when I was out at the Running Warehouse event with him, and he told me he thinks the Mach X OG is one of the stiffest shoes he's ever tried, carbon plate or not. These are very stiff and firm shoes. You can see I cannot really bend it here, and that's due to the foam they've used with whatever plastic plate they have in here, this teal piece. It is very stiff. So I think they've changed a little bit of the comfort quotient, dialed that down a touch. No, I don't even think, I know for a fact, they've dialed down the comfort quotient a touch on this model. They've amped up the aggression, and they've slid over the Mach X2 now to be more of that speed training shoe versus the Skyward X, which is more of that comfort cruiser. So this versus the Skyward X, this is lighter, this is faster. It's not necessarily bouncier. I think the Skyward X actually might have more bounce, but it does feel just a touch nimbler and easier to turn over because of the lighter weight, and it doesn't have as much foam, and my foot isn't sinking down as much into the foam. And that is probably my biggest surprise with this shoe. And it's not a negative thing, and it was my surprise with the stack flow as well. Hold on. I told you, self-awareness. I was aware that my mouth was dry. Now it's properly lubricated. I thought I was just gonna pick right back up. My biggest surprise with this and the stack flow, not soft shoes. And when we see these big, tall stack shoes, we often think soft, squishy. Look how much foam they have. Look how much comfort they have. And it's not an uncomfortable shoe. It's just not a soft and squishy shoe whatsoever. So I would think closer to Boston 12. If you've run in the Boston 12, that's closer to what the ride experience of this is versus a Saucony Endorphin Speed 3. This does not have the mush and the squish of a Saucony Power Run. It's much more like that Adidas Light Strike Pro feel, where it takes some force to get it going. So I was cruising down around that 7 flat pace. It felt perfect, absolutely dialed in for me. If I were going any slower, if I were at 730, 740, I think this would feel a little bit stiff, a little bit firm, and a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit too aggressive for everyday miles. But getting down closer to that steady range and the faster end of my everyday miles, it felt great. So it's definitely not a Skyward X. It's definitely not a shoe where I'm gonna go out and just run recovery, pull for any type of run. And it didn't put the same smile on my face that the Skyward X did, but it's a serviceable shoe, and I didn't feel like I was maxing it out. I think we could run some marathon pace, so in between 6 and 6:25 for me right now. That's where I've been running my marathon pace. I could get down there with ease in the shoe. Anytime I tried to do a little bit of a surge, it felt like it responded, and it felt like the shoe was... Woohoo! Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Man, I wasn't even expecting that. I thought it was going to be a diesel F250 or something. But we got the UPS in the house. They're going next door, though, I think. There's a lot of off-topic distractions today. It's vibes, I think, right? Yeah, the faster I was going in this shoe, the better it was starting to feel. So 100% a speed training shoe. Does not feel the most versatile to me, and this is where the question comes, and this is what I wanted to talk about today. What is the point of this shoe? If it's fast, let me make sure. Do I have the windscreen on? Boys in the comment section talk about windscreen. I have a wind muffle screen. We're just out here working fast, so sometimes we don't properly secure all the technology. All right, we have the windscreen on. If you can hear the wind noise, you're gonna hear the wind noise. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of this shoe when we have the Rocket X2 and the Cielo X1? For what type of a run would I pull for this over the race shoe? And that's where I'm really struggling to see the benefit or the purpose of having these plated training shoes in my lineup personally. Now, for some runners, like Charlie, for example, with the SC Trainer V3 that she loves, she's not gonna pull a Nike Vaporfly or even an SC Elite V4 for some of her miles. Hello. Running wear. That's a running warehouse box. I don't remember ordering anything from Running Warehouse. Also, there's 2 guys in the UPS truck today. They're tag teaming. Look at that. Our brothers. He's dropping it off at the shoe market. Like, fam, you got enough shoes already. Why do you have another shoebox up here? I guess he sees me. He knows what I'm doing. Shoe tube, bro. These types of shoes are not as aggressive, particularly in the case of the SC Trainer V3. This does give something that the race shoes do not, in that it's a little bit more comfortable. But in the case of Hoka, and in the case of the Mach X2 here, I'm not really seeing much that I could get out of this shoe that I could not in the Cielo X1, and that's a little bit more comfortable and that's a little bit more fun. And yes, this is $80 or $90 cheaper, but I'm talking strictly about performance right now. Because that might be the only purpose of this is that the only purpose of this category, that they're cheaper? And if that's the case, this is where a little bit of the mental gymnastics and the fallacy of the pricing come into play. Because okay, the Mach X2 is $190. The Cielo X1 is $275. But there's a lot of us out there, we're not saying, oh, I'm just gonna get the Mach X2 and have the Nike Pegasus and that's gonna be my rotation. No, we're adding in the Mach X2. And that's how a lot of us are using these plated training shoes. We're having our daily trainers, our Max Cushion Gang shoes, we're having our race shoes, and then we're also getting these shoes. And why? This is my issue with the Super Blast as well. For what type of a run will I use the Super Blast or the Mach X2 if I already have the Cielo X1 or the Diodora Gara in my rotation? And if it comes down to price, if you just get a durable race shoe like the Adios Pro 3, or like a lot of these race shoes that are coming out right now, even the Alpha Fly, I have that up at 100 miles, and that has really not very many signs of wear. Just a little bit of the exposed foam at the back is starting to rub, but I have training shoes with more wear than that. So this is where my question is. For what type of run are we going to use this and get more benefit than the race shoe? And I'm of the mind also right now that training in the shoes that we'll race in will give us more confidence on race day because we'll be more comfortable in that shoe. I am not of the mind that we need to save our race day shoes just for race day to get the magic effect. No, and if you look at what a lot of the elites do, they train their big workouts, most of their intensity in their race shoes. When they're on the roads, they're using the same model of shoe, not the wind is really picking up there. Not the same exact shoe. They'll get a fresh pair for race day, but they're using the same shoe. If they're going to race in the Alpha Fly, they're training Alpha Fly. So that's where my mind is at right now. I'm not seeing a big benefit of this category of shoes. It seems like brands are just trying to slice and dice the market into 17 different ways, especially when you have the Skyward X. That is one of the best shoes of the year, and that does provide something different. And that's my issue with not just this shoe, but the Boston 12, the Flash 2, and basically all those shoes that I pulled out earlier. They don't provide anything different than the race shoes for a lot of us, save for something like the SC Trainer V3 that's going to give a little bit more comfort for a newer runner. This doesn't provide anything better than the Cielo X1 for me. The Cielo X1 might even be more comfortable. And I think the mental part of it for us is, oh, this has a plastic plate, it's less aggressive. The plastic plate doesn't necessarily make it less aggressive. Like I was saying, our friend Dr. Matt was telling me this is one of the firmest shoes. The first version of this Mach X was one of the firmest shoes. So that's where I'm at right now. I am not seeing a huge benefit of this category in general. I do think potentially for our long runs, maybe we use this shoe or the Deviate Nitro 3 instead of the race shoe. But again, these race shoes are getting so durable and getting so good. I'm of the mind of a lot of us out there are gonna have the race shoe already. Pulling up in the Honda Stackacy. A lot of us are gonna have the race shoe already. We don't need to add the additional shoe. But that's a little bit of a meta analysis. In terms of this shoe itself, it's on the firmer side, it's smooth, it's bouncy. It does feel fast. It was an enjoyable ride. So if you are looking for that plastic plated shoe and you just want something with the plastic plate because you don't want the carbon, then this would be a good option. But I am telling you from my experience, there is no benefit in running in a plastic plated shoe just because it's plastic and not carbon. Our body does not know if something is plastic or carbon. All our body knows about is how flexible this shoe is. It's not very flexible. This is a carbon shoe here. It's also not very... That was Charles in the mom wagon. I don't... Yeah, it's also not very flexible. These are both plated shoes. I know they're both training shoes, but neither of them are very flexible. So I enjoyed this shoe. I want to get more testing in it. This is probably one of the best examples of plated shoes. This, Deviate Nitro 3, and Magic Speed 4 might be my 3 favorite of the plated training shoes this year. If we're not going to think about the Skyward X, which is in a little bit of a different category, that's definitely my favorite plated training shoe this year. I'm just not quite sure where these are falling into our lineups right now. So if you maintain a rotation of shoes and you frequently train in these plastic plated shoes, let me know. How are you using them? Are you using them for tempo runs? Why are you not using your race shoe? Is it strictly a durability issue? Let's get the conversation going. Maybe I'll post this question on the Supwell app for people to chime in there. So, as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. We are going to get some more miles on the Mach X2. This is a really solid shoe. It was fun, a little bit firmer, could stand up to my force. I'm looking forward to mashing some mileage. It's a little bit of a down week, a recovery week, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.
One more thing, and by the way, this is not from Running Warehouse. This is something that one of our friends from the channel sent me. It's a secret shoe. But one more thing. This is a type of shoe, the Nike Pegasus Plus or the Brooks Hyperion 2, these lightweight speed shoes. These are the types of shoes that will give us something different than the race shoes. They're lighter, they're lower to the ground, they're nimbler, they'll help us run with a little bit of different form. These might be my 2 favorite at the moment. SL2 is there as well, but that's more of a daily trainer. These are real speed shoes. So I'm feeling like right now it's better to have different types of shoes. And what I'm saying is the plated training shoes are essentially the same type of a shoe as a race shoe, except just slightly worse. They're just slightly heavier with slightly less bouncy foams in them. So that's kind of my point. Some of them have additional stability built in, like the SC Trainer V3, for example. This is going to be a little bit more stable than some of the race shoes, more comfort, but a lot of them just seem like worse versions of their racing counterparts. And so if budget isn't a huge concern, or even if budget is a concern, just get a durable race shoe and use that for everything. Even the Vaporfly, a lot of cross-country kids will take that to 400, 500 miles, just completely beat it into the ground. So that's where I'm landing right now. I'm not quite sure about this plated trainer category. It smells fishy to me. It smells like brands out here trying to grab a bag. All right, one more thing. I'm having my lunch. Everything bagels from Family Dough with a Beyond Burger, some Parmesan from Trader Joe's, a little arugula ketchup. Absolute fire. That is not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you, I was on Running Warehouse website. I have never seen this before. In bright red letters, they said, fit note, due to heel fit and minimal collar padding, some runners may experience increased heel rubbing. I have never seen them put that type of a warning or a heads up for people on a shoe before, on the Mach X2. I had no issues whatsoever. I would not have even thought about any sort of heel rubbing or fit issues. I thought the upper was completely dialed in. So again, this is a case of using the right socks. I was wearing the Features Merino socks today. That can make a huge difference because there was no rubbing. The fit was great. It was a really comfortable upper, if a touch snug, because it's a speed oriented shoe. But yeah, I really had no issue. So take from that what you will, but make sure you're wearing the right socks.